Hi boys and girls, it's Miss Alva. Today we're going to talk about adding two numbers together when both numbers have lots of digits in them. Here I have my graph paper because I find that when you're adding large numbers together, graph paper really helps you stay organized, which is very important. Here's our first problem. It says 604,542 plus 87,106. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this on my graph paper, being very careful to make sure that the places stay the same. What I mean by that is this 2 is in the ones place and this 6 is in the ones place, and so they should stay together and be in the same column. Likewise, this 8 is in the 10,000s place and the 0 is in the 10,000s place. So they too should be right on top of each other in the same column. A common mistake that students make when rewriting a problem like this is they will write it, let's scoot it over. But what they'll do is they'll write 604,542, and then when they get to the bottom number, they'll forget to line up the places, and we'll end up with something like this, which is incorrect because this 6 is in the ones place, so it should be scooted over here into the ones place. So don't make that common mistake. Make sure you are writing your numbers correctly. So now that I scooted it over, this is correct. The ones are together, the tens, the hundreds, the thousands are all together. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my line. Oh, you know what would be easier? Let's see. There we go. That's much easier. And I'm going to go ahead and add. So for this first one, I ask that you just follow along with me with your eyes and your ears, and then the next one you'll get a chance to practice. So I always start on this ones column, right? This is my ones. So if I have 6 plus 2, I know that 6 plus 2 is 8. Pretty easy, right? Good. I know that 4 plus 0 is 4. And I know that 5 plus 1 is 6. So these are all great because when you add the numbers together, you get a small answer, and so you don't have to regroup. But here we have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 7 plus 4 is 11. I can't do this. I can't put an 11 in there because there can only be one number in each place. So what I need to do is I need to regroup. Now this actually says that I have 11,000, right? 11,000. So I can take a group of 10 and put it over here. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to take this group of 10,000 and bring it up here. Okay? So now I took, instead of writing 11 down here, I took the 1 and put it up here. That's called regrouping. So now I have 8 plus 1, or I have actually 8 plus 0, which is 8, and then you add the 1 that you regrouped before, so 8 plus 1 is 9, and then there's nothing under the 6, so you just bring it down. And don't forget your comma, okay? So that was pretty simple, wasn't it? I'm going to change the page. Go ahead and take a piece of lined paper and use that to solve this problem. I'm going to show you my trick. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. When I have a piece of lined paper, what I do is I turn it sideways like that, and that allows me to have lines to write on. Okay, so keep my place values the same. So if I'm writing 540,721 plus 375,899, and now I have a place to show my work, and it's much easier to keep it organized. So do that on your lined paper. I'm going to take you back to this problem. Okay, go ahead and pause the video. Write this on your lined paper, making sure that the place values are lined up. and then when you're ready for the answer, press play. Okay, let's take a look. So if you wrote this in, you should have 54,980 plus 24,611. I'm going to draw my line here. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to change color so you can kind of see what I'm doing, but go ahead and check your work against mine. 0 plus 1 is 1. 8 plus 1 is 9. And 9 plus 6 is 15. So instead of writing the 15 here, okay, which would not be correct, we can't have two numbers in one of the place values. I'm going to take this one and regroup up here, right? So one more time, instead of writing 9 plus 6 is 15 here, like that, we take that group of hundreds, which this really stands for a group of hundreds, and move it, oh, I'm sorry, this stands for a group of thousands, and move it over here. Okay, now we do 4 plus 4 is 8. Don't forget this, plus 1 more is 9. And 5 plus 2 is 7. Is that your answer? Good. We're going to go back to our original problem because we're going to also talk about estimating. Now, in order to be able to estimate, you're going to have to know how to round. So if you have trouble rounding, if you find it a little tricky, I'm going to ask that you go back and look at my rounding video. And then once you feel confident, you can come back here because I'm not going to go over the rounding in this video. Okay, so when you estimate, whenever it asks you to estimate, you're going to go ahead and round the top number and the bottom number to the greatest place value. I'm going to write this down because it's important. You're going to round it to the greatest place value. Okay, so let's take a look at that first number. And I'm going to take this 604,542. I'm going to bring it up here just so that we can have a little space to work on. Okay, so I just took this first top number and brought it up here. So what is the greatest place value in this number? Would it be the ones, the tens, the hundreds, the thousands, the 10,000s, or the 100,000s? The greatest place value is the 100,000s. It's the number that is furthest to the left. So we are going to round to the 100,000s place. Okay, the number next door tells me that the 6 stays the same. Okay, and then all the numbers to the right become zeros. We have a cute little song that we sing when we're rounding. If you go back to my other rounding video, I'll teach it to you. Okay, so we have rounded 604,542. Sorry about that. That's just my computer. And now it has become 600,000. So I draw my line. I always draw my line to show that I have rounded this number, and now it is a new number. Okay. Now, though, we need to round the bottom one. So this is 87,106, this bottom number here, and we need to round that as well to the greatest place value. What is the greatest place value of this number? This one, the one furthest to the left, the 10,000th place. So I'm going to round to the 10,000th place. Using our rule, okay, find your place, look next door, right? Remember from our last video? I know this is 5 or greater, so I'm going to add 1, and then all the numbers turn to 0. So I've rounded 87,106 to 90,000, and that's going to go down here. And be careful, don't put the 9 here because the 9 is in the 10,000ths place. So it should be here. Okay. Now I can add them together. Now really this is the easiest part. The harder part is the rounding part. Once you've rounded both numbers, now adding it is easy. So 0 plus 0, 0 plus 0, 0 plus 0. And our answer is 690,000. And so this would be our exact answer, or our sum, and this would be our estimate. Okay, and sometimes a problem will ask you to find the exact number and the estimate. So be careful and read those directions carefully. Let's go back to this one. This is the one you were doing on your own. So I'm going to ask you that you pause the video, and I want you just to do the rounding part of this top number, okay? We'll take it one step at a time. So you're going to bring this number up here, and you're going to round to the greatest place value, which is this one, the 10,000ths place. Pause the video now. Okay, welcome back. So I hope you rounded this to the greatest place value. Remember, when you're estimating, you want to round to the greatest or the biggest place value. Okay, and we said the biggest place value was the 10,000ths place, so I underlined that 5. Look next door. I know this 5 is going to stay the same, and all the other numbers become 0. So you should have rounded this to 50,000. Did you do that? I really hope you did. That tells me you're on the right track. Go ahead now and round this bottom number, okay? 24,611 to the greatest place value. This one right here is what we're rounding next. Press pause and then press play when you're ready to go. Okay, so let's see. The greatest place value is the 10,000ths place. Remember, the greatest place value is always going to be all the way to the left, because the more you go to the left, the bigger the place value is. So I'm going to look next door. I know that my 2 is going to stay the same, and the rest of my numbers become 0. So you should have rounded that second number to 20,000. And now comes the easy part. Let's add them up together. So while I do it on here, you do it on your paper. 0 plus 0 is 0. 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 And 5 plus 2 is 7. Do you see why sometimes it's better to round? Because when you are estimating or rounding the two numbers, the addition part is much easier, isn't it? So probably you could even do it in your head if you really wanted a challenge. I want you to do this whole thing by yourself. I want 2 answers. I want the exact answer, and I want the estimate. And I should see on your paper, if I were to pass by, this exact setup. I'm noticing, boys and girls, that on your homework, you're not organizing your math. So it should have the original one here with arrows like this, and then your rounded answer here. So I can see immediately what you did. And if you made mistakes, we can trace them back. So make sure that on your paper, you're doing it just like this. So give yourself enough room to put them side by side. Go ahead and pause the video. Okay, let's take a look and see. I'm going to erase this so that we have room to work. So the very first thing you should have done is rewritten our number. So it's 52,851 plus 65,601. Okay, so now we're going to add that together. 1 plus 1 is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 0 plus 5 is 5. Check. Is this what you have so far? Good. 8 plus 6 is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. But instead of writing the 14 together like that, we're going to regroup and take this 1. Let's ungroup that. We're going to take this 1 and move it up here to the next place value. 5 plus 2 is 7, plus 1 more is 8. And then 6 plus 5 is 11. And technically we are also regrouping and then bringing this down here to our new place value. So our exact answer is 118,452. But we're not done yet because I did ask you to round. So we're going to draw our arrows in, bring our numbers up here. Oh, you know, that's not very bright, so I'm going to pick a different color. I guess red again, but that's okay. So 52,851. We're going to round it to the greatest place value. Because this is less than 5, the 5 is going to stay the same. And all the numbers turn to 0. So you should have rounded this to 50,000. Okay? And let's take that second number and round it to the greatest place value, which is this one. Look next door. This is 5, so we're going to add 1 more to this 6, and I know 6 plus 1 is 7, and then all the numbers turn into zeros. So I have 70,000. And then if I were to add these together, my answer would be 120,000. And here's my arrow. I should have 2 arrows. Is that what you got? I hope you did, because that really shows me you're understanding the math. You're going to have some extra practice now, okay? I have 3 problems. I would like you to find me the exact answer and the estimate. Be careful that you keep your math organized. Use your paper just like you've been doing, and give yourself plenty of room. Do not mush the numbers together. So I'm going to set this first one up for you. You should be writing on your paper as I do this one. Okay, so I should see this on your paper. The first number plus that second one, and then I should see 2 lines showing me what you're going to round these to. And of course, if you're following the rules, you're going to round it to the biggest place value. Okay, so you're going to do that for all 3 problems, and then when you're ready, come back and I'll let you know if you got the correct answer. Okay, here is the answer for number 1, which is this one here. The exact answer is 253,818, and the estimate is 200,000. Here is the answer to the second problem, which is this middle one here, and your paper should look just like this, including the 2 arrows and the numbers being side by side. Remember, each number should have its own column or its own place. And this is our final answer. So our exact answer is 916,620, and our estimate is 900,000. I really hope you got all 3 of these correct. If you still feel you need more practice, you can always watch this video again until you are a master at adding big numbers and at estimating.